Hello. Ooh. Okay. Let me go ahead and say grand rising to all of the beautiful people out there in the world today. I hope you have your water. If you do not, I suggest that you go and get your some. Welcome, welcome, welcome to another episode of Cosmic Connections. I am your host, May Alice Catherine Wells, aka $GG Azira. And that's $GG AZIIRA. Go ahead, show your love, show your love, show your love. Today is Friday, 7:15. This is season 1, episode 3. Today's episode is Flower Power. If you were a flower, what kind of flower would you be? Tune in. We hear Fridays, 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Mountain Standard Time. Check your local listings. I know it's 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. if you're on the East Coast. Oops. And I think the West Coast is 1 hour behind me. So 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. on the East Coast. Everybody else, y'all gotta figure it out. So today, oh, and our intro track. So let me just before we kind of get into our day, let me just kind of get into this moment real quick. It is 7:04 a.m. and previous to this episode, I did a pre-shuffle. So for the remainder of the season, we're gonna have a pre-shuffle message, and then we're gonna have it's a possibility of during the show message. Okay. Now the pre-shuffled message is all playing cards. So it's all cardomancy divination. And I think it's fun because I was just in that vibe. And so I was like, you know what? Let's just go with it. So today's episode. So here was my thinking too. First, I made the topics for the show. Then I pulled a card for each topic of the show. But I don't really know cardomancy, right? So we are learning together. And I wanted to see how the card's meaning, if at all, related to the topic of the day. But I didn't want to do the reveal of that information until we got to the episode. So for those of you out there who know, you know. Amazing. Cool. Awesome. Please share with us whatever knowledge you may have. And for those of us who do not know, we finna learn. Okay. And I don't know it either, so we finna learn together. I mean, quite honestly, that's how I do most of my things. I don't really know the things, but we can learn together. If you are on Clubhouse, tap in, say hello, join us. Let us know you're alive and you're with us and you exist and you're here to do the thing. If you're not on Clubhouse, you should join us on Clubhouse. We are broadcasting live from Clubhouse. And today we have our backup episode on YouTube. So if you're on YouTube, you get a chance to see the behind the scenes of what's going on here at Cosmic Connections. Spelled with the Q, might I add. QOZMIC. Connections. CONNECTIONZ. Cosmic Connections. We have a club here on Clubhouse, so you can go ahead and go to Clubhouse, search for our club, become a member, join us live here on Fridays at 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, and you could be a live listener. You could also have opportunity to ask me questions, put in your comments, and potentially be a guest on our show. Definitely join the club, become a member. As we grow, more and more things are going to be coming down the pipeline, like swag and events and all sorts of goodies. But right now, we're just getting started. This is episode 4, Flower Power. Yeah, I gotta say, I really love flowers, and this reminds me to go back to this practice that I had a little while ago. It wasn't too deep of a practice, so I don't feel so bad that I've quote unquote abandoned it. I feel like it was a template for me to come back to when my life got a little bit more stable. So I have this practice basically, and I called it my soul cleansing. What did I call it? My soul cleansing something. In any event, part of the soul cleansing was for me to disconnect from social media, replace it with activities that felt more wholesome to me. Well, it wasn't just social media, it was all media activities. So, no television, no movies, just no technology, period. You know what I mean? Just really getting back to the fundamentals of life, like walking, going out to see the sun, sitting by water, listening to the wind blow, hanging out with the birds and the bees, literally, talking to flowers, literally, like some of these things. And I also incorporated the use of an altar in my space. And in the incorporation of the use of an altar in my space, I decided that I was going to have a flower be a focus every single month, as well as a color and a crystal. And it was just something for me to visually look at to remind myself to embody the energies of those elements that were before me in that moment. And every month it would change, and it was a beautiful experience. So this episode kind of reminds me of that and how I now have the opportunity to go back to that practice and revisit it and see how it would fare in this space in my life. So I'm super excited about that. But today we're here to talk about flower power. Like the power of flowers, they're I feel like they are the symbol of feminism, right? Even though there's I'm sure what some in the botany community would call male plants or whatever, that doesn't negate the fact that they still possess feminine qualities. Now, when I think of flowers, I think of softness, I think of fragrance, I think of patience, I think of delicate delicateness, delicacy. I didn't want to say that sounds like a snackish. But more so like they are in this totally different vibration where you really kind of have to be in a different vibe yourself. Like you kind of have to slow down a bit, you know? You kind of have to be careful. You kind of have to pay attention to what you're doing or how you're being in that moment cuz if not, it's a possibility that damage will happen to the flower and we don't want that. And you know, different flowers have different temperaments and they have different needs and requirements for growth. Some of them like to be around others, some of them don't. They really are like their own entities. And as far as I know, they also have their own voices and you can listen to them and hear what they have to say to you. And how many times have you actually stopped and listened to what the flower had to say to you? Some flowers are associated with months. Some people associate different flowers with different occasions that, you know, make them feel a certain type of way. But all in all, flowers, I feel, bring us peace and comfort and joy and happiness and beauty when we most need it. So for that, I love the flowers. I thank the flowers and I appreciate all flowers. I've always, okay, I'm not one of those people who dreamed about getting married as a child, right? But in the moments that I have been accepting the fact that it's a possibility that there is someone special out there for me and that we may connect one day, I allowed myself to, I guess, fantasize about what I would want for a ceremony. And being in a garden, whether it's at home or landscaped by or well maintained by a museum or botanical gardens somewhere or something like that, I just felt like being uberly surrounded. Not uberly, like, you know, flowers should just been ubiquitous. Like almost overkill. Like flowers everywhere, 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 everywhere. So I just, I don't know. It just seems beautiful to me. And on occasion, I be thinking of over the top stuff because on a level, I don't really think that it's gonna happen, but I don't block it from happening. I just be like, you know what? It would be nice. You know, and I have a little moment with myself, and then the moment is fleeting. And I let it go, and I keep it pumping on my life. And I don't really think about it no more. So that's that on that. But that's neither here nor there. I did want to share with you the song that was playing when we first jumped in was one of my original tracks. I think I'm gonna put it on my album Notes from My Therapist, and it's called 13 Moons Told You, and that was just a snippet. I really enjoy that track, but here's what happened. This is what I wanted to share with y'all. So, you know, got up in the AM, ready to do all the things, getting ready for the day, and I was like, all right, let me go over to my computer, make sure everything is working, da 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 da, etc. And then I was like, you know what? Let me just let me just see what YouTube is doing. You know what I'm saying? Let me just see what YouTube is doing. So I'm tinkering with all the things, but I have to pull up my streaming software in order for the streaming to actually work. I mean, I could have gone straight live, I guess, to my webcam, but I wanted to go through the streaming software. So I pull it up, and then all of a sudden, I hear this music playing, and I'm like, "What is the dealio?" couldn't tell where the music was coming from or anything. I went into my music media player because I thought maybe I clicked on the wrong button because the music player where I have it pinned to my start menu is right next to the software icon. So I was like, it's a possibility that I clicked the wrong thing. No, I didn't click the wrong thing. What had happened was I had been trying to figure out how I could have background music while we have our broadcast, and I figured it out. So then I created my own playlist and put the music in the playlist. However, the music just automatically started playing as soon as I opened up the program. So now I'm sitting here like, where's this music coming from? Not realizing it's coming from the program that I just opened, which is dope because if you're in a bind and you did have to like come on last minute and you needed some music, like I would have preferred that as a content creator. Like, don't let me start alive and it's silence. I could always turn down the music and come in and chime with my folks. But it's gonna be much more difficult to grab people once you come in and it's the birds are chirping. You feel me? Mm. Girl, if you are watching the replay on YouTube, and I wish there was a way for me to put, well, not the replay, but the behind the scenes. That's good. I'm learning. As soon as I figure out how to pin, well, okay, I know how to pin a link, but sometimes Clubhouse, they don't be here for the shenanigans. But anyway, we're having a good time here. I'm in Denver, Colorado. It is Friday. The sun is shining. It's a beautiful AM thus far. I hope you all out there are having a beautiful AM thus far. And today, we talk about flower power. Flower power. I do want to play a song real quick to get into it. But if you were a flower, what kind of flower would you be? Please let me know in the comment section. Get an answer to me if you feel like participating in this lively discussion. You don't necessarily have to be vocal. You can message me on the back channel for those of you who are hanging out with us on Clubhouse. But yeah, if I was a flower, what kind of flower would I be? It was really difficult for me to think about this answer because there are so many beautiful flowers out there who are doing the daggone thing. And there are so many flowers that I have yet to even know what they do about their existence. But I guess in this very moment, if it is possible for me to somehow be a cross between an orchid and cannabis, that would be the way to go for me. That would be the way to go for me. So I'm going to play this track. I don't know what's going to come up next. We'll see what the universe got for us. And when I get back, we are going to discuss why. Why those two? And then we're also going to discuss the power and symbolism of some other flowers and why one may or may not consider those. And then we're going to get into our message for the day, Six of Spades. What does this have to do with what kind of flower are you? What does Six of Spades have to do with flower power? We're going to find out later on in this episode. But for right now, we're going to play this extra. Ooh, yeah. Okay, here we go. Can't nobody tell me nothing. Can't nobody tell me nothing. Yeah. Anyway, I'm having fun over here. If you can't tell. Look, I got me this cute little sound card just so I could be shenaniganery here on these podcast streets. Which, by the way, can we talk about what a podcast is? Because I was really confused at it, and I had to get me some clarifications, and I feel like I got the clarifications that was necessary for me to move on in my life. So here's what I found, folks, and you let me know how you feel about this. So, and I learned a new word yesterday. Portmanteau. I think that's how you say it. Apparently, it's a combination, a blending of two words, iPod and broadcasting. Hence the podcasting. Because I was like, if I'm a podcast, I feel like I should be casting from a pod. Like, where's this pod that I'm casting? It wasn't making sense to me. And because then they were having all these different podcast platforms that you could upload your digital files to and have it played. I'm just like, yeah, I hear you, but hear me. So I did a little bit more research. And when I found out that it was a blending or portmanteau, that's how I'm saying it right, between iPod and broadcast, then realistically, it's just a digital or audio file which you can create on any device. What makes it a podcast is that it's specifically recorded from an iPod intended for the broadcasting. And as far as I know, Apple also has. I used to see this thing on the phone when you would it one of those factory installed apps, and it said podcast on there, but I got rid of it because I was like, I don't know what that is. But it was essentially a way for you to do exactly this: just record whatever the topic is and put it wherever it's gonna go. Child, I was not into. First of all, for a very long time, I wasn't even into my own voice. I was like, I sound crazy. I don't like how I sound on the replay. Some days I still have those moments, but I don't really care. I'm just letting the voice live out there in the universe and letting this do its thing. So there was that. And then there was this whole component of like, oh my God, you want me to record? Oh my God, you want me to put my voice out there for the people to hear what I have to say? Why? What? Who's going to care? Who's going to care? And then it was like, who cares about who cares? If it brings you joy to do the thing, then do it. And you know what? That was all I needed. Because on a level, I don't know if, when, how, or why any of this information is going to land with an individual. All I can do is have fun in creating it. I can't create it for the purposes of it reaching an individual, because if I do it for that purpose and then it don't reach that individual, then I didn't serve my purpose, right? But if I serve the purpose of doing it for fun and we just happen to reach people, then that's a bonus. Reaching people is the bonus. But doing it because we enjoy it and it makes us feel good, that is the goal here. And how many of you out there have started a project or done a thing and involved other people in your experience simply because you you needed what you were providing? and you weren't seeing what was out there as sufficient enough for your needs. And so you created something. And now, not only are you excited about your creation, but you do want to share it because at some point, your creation does become bigger than you, you know? Think about all those kids that grow taller than their parents. I'm one of them. It's just an analogy. Calm down. But in any event, we are here talking about the flower power today on Cosmic Chat. And I do want to take this moment. I know it's 7:37 a.m. and we're about 30 minutes into the show. But I do want to take this moment to have kind of like whew, okay. You know what I mean? That moment when you were like rushing to work, you got everything kind of together, but then you want to do that one little final last check before you actually walk into the building or have that one little last moment with yourself before you completely have to put yourself away and become whoever it is that you need to become in order to get through your day. I want you to remember that moment and I want you to say no. I want you to say no to putting yourself away. I want you to say no to hiding who you really are. I want you to say no to pretending to be something that you're not in order to serve a purpose that is beyond you. Because if you have to put you away for a thing that you got to do for you, then do you really need to do that thing? Is that thing really for you? What is it that is holding you? Can you release it? Can you let it go? Can you say no so that you can say yes to you? I'm just wondering, I just, I really do wonder. Hmm. All right, now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's go ahead. So the three flowers that came to the forefront for today's topic were violet, roses, and daisies. And we'll discuss more about why in a later episode. But for right now, let's just get into it. So, as we're here, I am going to play some. Let's see if I can play the background music, but let's turn it down a little bit. All right. Can you hear me? There we go. All right, so we got our background music. Yes, great job for making that happen. Let's turn it down just a little bit more. Okay, all right. right, let's get into it. We're gonna go to Google. Go together. Compare notes. So I'm here on Google. I'm gonna type in Violet. Violet spiritual meaning. Common violet flower meaning includes everlasting love, modesty, spiritual wisdom, faithfulness, mysticism, and remembrance. Interesting. So this flower is also supposedly the flower that represents those who are born in the month of February. Flowers. What flower is for each month? Okay. So, according to this list on Google, it says January carnation, snowdrop, meaning admiration, love, hope, future. February, violet primrose, modesty, faithfulness, young love. Aw. March, daffodil, new beginning, prosperity. April, daisy, sweet pea, meaning purity, innocence, blissful pleasure. May, lily of the valley hawthorn. Sweetness, motherhood, hope. Interesting. June, rose, honeysuckle. Oh, they're two different flowers. Oh, so January is carnation and April is daisy and and February is violet and okay. June, rose and honeysuckle, meaning romance and happiness. July is larkspur and water lily, meaning positivity, dignity, purity. August is gladiolus poppy, strength of character, imagination. September, aster, morning glory, love, affection, unrequited love, morality. October, marigold, cosmos, creativity, passion, responsibility. November, chrysanthemum, loyalty, honesty. December, narcissist, folly, hope, wealth, protection. Okay, so according to this documentation, violet does in fact represent those who are born in the month. All right. Let's check out rose. Hey. All roses symbolize God's love at work in the world, but different colors of roses also symbolize different spiritual concepts. White roses mean purity and wholeness. Red roses mean passion and sacrifice. Yellow roses mean wisdom and joy. Pink roses mean gratitude and peace. And then they got all those fun colors of roses that they have nowadays. So you're just gonna have to combine all those meanings and make it make sense. So that's pretty cute. All right, and let's go on to daisies. All right, so we got daisies spiritual, meaning daisies symbolize innocence and purity. This stems from the old Celtic legend. According to the legend, whenever an infant dies, God sends daisies over the earth to cheer the parents up. In Norse mythology, daisy is Freya's sacred flower. For real? What up, Freya? Come through. Oh, that's the message. Freya. Alright, so I'm going to what I'm going to gradually declined after the Christianization of Scandinavia. You know what's so funny about that? I remember being in the Lower East Side of New York City back in, what was it, like 2013, 2014, around that time. And there was this band that was playing, I don't remember their name, but they had a song with, yeah, Scandinavia. In the song, they were like a rock band. I was like, these people, this is very interesting. The Counts of Taylor, I'm saying it right, later made it into sagas and other literary sources while further evidencing it as archetypal. Various scholars have debated the nature of Taylor, but some of them have argued that it was shamanic, involving visionary journeys. This is probably why they don't have a lot of information about it, because it's a visual experience, and at the time they lacked potentially the technology to express what it is they're going to the people of that time, and how the information is being passed down. You would have to tell someone, they would have to believe you, and then they would have to repeat the story in the exact way that you said. But we all know what happens to a secret when it gets passed around. I mean, I'm not going to read the rest of this article right now, obviously, but it is very interesting. Okay. So it's a possibility we can get into some Norse mythology, some different type of magic if we really wanted to. How we get from talking about power to Scandinavia? Like, let's get into what? Let me go back. Hold on. Stemming from Old Norse Freya, modern forms of the name include Freya, Freyja, and Freyja. But then I'm going to scroll down, and it says here, scholars have debated whether Freyja and the goddess Frigg ultimately stem from the goddess common among the Germanic people. They have connected her to the Valkyrie, sorry. Wait, go back. Come on, y'all gotta do this to me. Okay, Valkyrie, female battlefield choosers of the slain, and analyze her relation to other goddesses and figures in Germanic mythology, including the thrice burnt and thrice reborn Volveg slash Heor. I think that's how you say it. Goddesses Jeff, Joan, Gaio, Ai. That sounds like Yoi. How old the Ruhr and Urpa, Menglu, in the 1st century CE, Isis of the Subi. In Scandinavia, Freya's name frequently appears in the names of plants, especially in southern Sweden. Various plants in Scandinavia were once before her name, but it was replaced with the name of the Virgin Mary during the process of Christianization. Rural Scandinavians continue to acknowledge Freya as a supernatural figure in the 19th century, and Freya has inspired various works of art. So are you telling me that there's a connection between Freya, Virgin Mother Mary, and Isis? Isis, who also is known as the goddess of 1,000 names. Child, when I changed my name at the same time, it's like, so, big deal. No, I need a break on that. We're gonna take a minute on that one. That was a good. Woo. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. All right. And we're back. So, ciao, honey, ciao, ciao. So, what it sounds like to me is that upon the Christianization of the land, all of our goddesses, all of our women, all of the energy that has been consistently prolific has been suppressed, submerged, been taught to be forgotten about by those who have tried to overtake us, those who seem to be in power these days, but I don't know that you ever actually had power. It seems as though you've always been powerless and you've always used others who've had power for you to gain that which is it you seek, but without their permission in a sense, without having to force them, without having to sedate them or make them forget so that they're tricked into believing that they're doing the thing for you. Not really. Any old way. Let's see what this. Oh, you know what? I want to look up to see what the Six of Spades is telling us. But before I get into that, I wanted to talk to you. Oh, before I do that, let's look up the spiritual meaning of the orchid. Since I did want to discuss why I personally chose cannabis and orchid to be representative of me. If I were to be a flower, those would be the two flowers I would want to be. And I mean, it could be fun to be a supply shop, I guess. Okay, so the orchid meaning and symbolism include beauty, elegance, love, sexuality, and fertility, luxury, and wealth, and uniqueness. With their symmetrical blossoms and unmatched beauty, orchids evoke fascination and adoration by people of all walks of life. Oh, it's really true. I really do love orchids. They're my favorite. I really love a white orchid, and I really love a blue orchid. Not the purple, but the blue. And I know that's like probably not actually true, but I do love it. So yes, white and blue orchids, but really any color is an orchid is an orchid is an orchid is an orchid. And lilies just kind of came to mind. So let's look up lily. Lily flower meanings include beauty, purity, fertility, transformation, rebirth, and devotion. Ooh, transformation. I love it. Transformation. Okay, so now let's look up let's just see. That's cannabis. Yeah, of course it does. But they don't talk about it in the way that they talk about the other flowers. They say cannabis has been used by shamanic and pagan cultures to ponder deeply religious and philosophical subjects related to their tribe or society to achieve a form of enlightenment, to unravel unknown facts and realms of the human mind, and also as an aphrodisiac for rituals Interesting. Let's read that one more time. Cannabis has served as an entheogen, a chemical substance used in a religious or spiritual context. In the Indian subcontinent, since the Vedic period dating back to approximately 1500 BCE, but perhaps as far back as 2000 BCE. It was introduced to the New World by the Spaniards in 1530 to 45. Hmm. Cannabis has been used by shamanic and pagan cultures to ponder deeply religious and philosophical subjects related to their tribe or society, to achieve a form of enlightenment, to unravel unknown facts and realms of the human mind and subconscious, and also as an aphrodisiac during rituals or orgies. There are several references in Greek mythology to a powerful drug that eliminated anguish and sorrow. Herodotus wrote about early ceremonial practices by the Scythians thought to have occurred from the 5th to 2nd century BC in what? Into near it have used it in the Indian subcontinent for centuries. Mexican Indian communities. Ah, ah. Mexican Indian communities occasionally use cannabis in religious ceremonies by leaving bundles of it on church altars to be consumed by the attendees. You know, when I was running a cannabis church here in Denver, Colorado, and it wasn't a cannabis church, but it was a Native American church, and we participated in cannabis-related rituals and ceremonies. Just as a practice in the house, I would have jar bowl laid out on the table with every amount needed to consume so that you can take care of your own spiritual needs. You know? The earliest known reports regarding the sacred status of cannabis in the Indian subcontinent come from the Asarva Vedas, estimated to have been sometime around 1400 BCE, which mentions cannabis as one of the 5 sacred plants, which release us from anxiety, and that a guardian angel resides in a sleep. Ciao, I'm done. The Vedas also refer to it as a source of happiness, joy giver, and liberator. And in the Raja Valabha, the god sent him to the human race so that they might attain the light, lose fear, and have sexual desires. Many households in India own and grow a cannabis plant, being able to offer cannabis to a fasting, bad food, ascetic holy men. And during some evening devotional services, it is not uncommon for cannabis to be smoked by everyone present, staying safe without a nutty. I'm not going to go on and read the rest of this article, but you can go to Wikipedia if you want to. Right now it says entheogenic use of cannabis. But I literally went to Google and typed in cannabis merchandising, and the entheogenic use of cannabis came up as a Wikipedia page, and that is what we just read from. So there you have it, folks. For those of you who just need a little bit more education flower, cannabis. There you have it. An aphrodisiac, for those of you who are not aware, I'm going to give you definition according to the Oxford languages. A food, drink, or drug that stimulates sexual desire. So how can it be an aphrodisiac if it's not a drug? It's a flower. A thing that causes excitement. That part. It is technically a thing. So, there you have it. For those of you who are suffering from sadness, depression, lack of joy, lack of happiness, lack of pleasure in the sexual department, I suggest you get yourself some cannabis. Drink it, smoke it, eat it, rub it on your body, do whatever you gotta do. But consume it, get it in you, and be happy. Get rid of the fear, experience joy, and then go have some sex. Okay? Stay sex, fun sex, enjoyable sex, but sex nonetheless. I mean, for real, some of y'all need to be touched. When's the last time you've actually been touched? Hug, kiss, caress, hit, massage, cuddle, I don't know, right? Either music or no music, or with candles or no candles, flowers or no flowers, with someone special or someone not so special. Like, what you need? Sexy lingerie, no sexy lingerie, socks, slippers, t-shirt, nothing. Sensual, exciting, adventurous. What you doing? What's going on? What's happening? But you know, it's a part of the life cycle. You can't. It's also part of keeping yourself in balance. Like, let's keep it 100. Hold on. I think we're gonna have to pause background music on this one. For those of you out there, listen. It's a part of your balance. Are you listening? Is this microphone on? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? All right. I think I'm coming in a little bit more loud and clear in this moment because I need you to hear me loud and clear. And yeah, it's a part of keeping the balance of your life. Okay. Let's think about the whole day for a moment and then like a whole lifespan of life happening. You know, they say you spend a third of your life sleeping, like actual sleeping, like zzz, catching them Z's. So that leaves at least a eighth. You got 24 eighth us sexy time. 30, 40, 50, 60 for eighth the sexy time throughout your whole life. I mean, we have 24 hours in a day. An eighth of a day is 3 hours. So, you meaning to tell me you ain't got no 3 hours nowhere just for you and your sexual pleasure? And if you don't, it's a possibility that's the reason why you're out of balance. So, somewhere in your schedule, I'm going to need you to rearrange some things so you can plug in a solid block of sexual pleasure. And when you block out this time, Ideally, it should be for 3 hours straight. But if you need to do like an hour and a half in the morning and an hour and a half in the evening, or an hour in the AM, an hour in the afternoon, and an hour in the PM, or somewhere in the late night. I don't know. You figure it out. But 3 hours should be dedicated at the very least to sexual pleasure. I'm not saying more. It could be possibly less, but at least I think that's a good bare minimum. You got to look at your own life though and figure it out. But the point is balance. The point is balance. And it may even fluctuate. It may mean, okay, at this moment, I may need 6 or 7 or 8 hours. But in 3 to 4 months from now, I may only need 2 or 3 hours. You got to listen to your body. You know what I'm saying? She going to tell you what's really good in the spiritual hood. Ooh, child. This has been truly a lively discussion. The time is now 8:14 a.m. here in Denver, Colorado. And before we roll up out of here, let's see what the Six of Spades is telling us today. Because remember at the top of our episode, we were discussing the fact that I just picked cards to go with each topic, but I don't know what the cards mean. And how does the cards meaning relate to the topic of the day? But the reveal is now. All right. So according to some of these, wait, no, I don't want to. See, mm, all right, here we go. Okay. Six of Spades is a meaning of improvement, small wins, and an upswing. That's what's up. Okay, so how does that energy relate to today's topic? Well, I will tell you this. We definitely had literally a couple more viewers than we have had in the past few episodes. So I am grateful for that. So shout out to those two new folks who joined us today. Thank you for coming. And I really feel like this podcast is on the upswing. Now that I've gotten a little bit more clarity on what a podcast actually is, it's kind of more so feeling like a radio show. So not only is this Cosmic Connections, but we're going to go ahead and say that this is No Pants Radio. Okay. So welcome to episode 1 of No Pants Radio. I'm just kidding. It's not the episode, but it is an introduction to No Pants Radio Station. And this is our show, Cosmic Connections. We could do that. We can do a show called Cosmic Connections, and our radio station is No Pants Radio. So, welcome to No Pants Radio Station. This is where we're broadcasting from. And even though I'm using my iPhone to broadcast or to record the digital information, I'm also using software on my my computer, and we're on YouTube. So what's that? We got some behind the scenes going on. We're doing the things. It is what it is. It ain't what it ain't. So I'm gonna let it be what it is. But on that note, improvement, small wins, and upswing. Okay, Six of Spades. And how else does that relate to flower power? I really feel like here's the other side of that message, or another piece to it, is that why are we collectively attracted to flowers in the first place? Why do flowers have power? Why is that even a phrase? You know what I'm saying? And I think it is because of their softness and their fragrance and their delicacies, their delicateness in life. They're kind of like dealing with toddlers and babies and really small, precious energies where you have to not become small and precious too, but tap into that energy so that your rambunctiousness doesn't cause volatile damage. Because while you may have well intentions, how it's being expressed and how it's coming across to that very small and sensitive energy is quite volatile. How many times have you said something to someone, and to you it may not have sounded so harsh or whatever, but to them it broke their heart, it broke their spirit, it broke their whole world, and now they can't explain to you why they feel the way they feel because they're literally in broken pieces. Kind of crazy, huh? Kind of crazy. I have the lover's card staring at me from my original tarot deck, Tower of the Ages. And honestly, this card has been up in my face for the past 2 weeks, at least week and a half. And nothing in me has said put the card away. It's time for a new message or anything like that. So I'm going to just roll with it. And on this particular deck, there are several columns in the center that spread out through the rest of the deck. So it looks like it's on a diagonal, but I think it's displayed this way because we wouldn't be able to see it going in a straight line. So imagine columns coming to a V. But before it gets to the V, there's an opening because there's like columns missing. Well, not missing, but if we were to close the V, there would be columns there. So there's an opening, and in the sky, there's an energy with an arrow, and it has an animal head, and it's pointing its arrow at one of the two options. And the individual standing in between the two options is, I feel, representative of the querent, right? And the first two columns that we do see, the ones that are prominent in the photo, are etchings that look like hieroglyphs. One is holding the symbol for cannabis at that time, and the other one, I'm not really sure, but it looks like a snake. One woman who is standing in between or on the side of the two. All right, so the subject in the middle is a male, and then there's two women on either side. But like I said, the person in the middle is just representative of the querent, which could be you. So if you're a man or a woman or whatever, it doesn't matter. And then the two energies on the side are the two things that are in question. One you truly desire, and then there's one that's desiring you, but you're not really paying attention to it. So if you look at the querent's body language, on one end, they're like their head is leaning towards that individual, but that person is also like, all right, they're dressed, but all they have on is like the sheer slip. So you can see through them. And you can see they have an ankh around their neck to hold up the piece of fabric. And then they have a headband on with the flower, and their hair is all flowing. So it looks really cute. Like it looks like a little nightgown type of action. And at his feet are two different colors, the color blue and the color green. The color blue is on the left side looking at the photo, so it would be his right, and the green is on his left, our right. On the blue side, the woman with the sheer outfit is standing, and it looks like a lightning bolt is kind of coming through the blue, but it looks like a placemat on the floor, like a rug or something. And then there's sand underneath. And then the other woman, she's naked as well, but she's not wearing a top. The other lady, her dress covers her from basically the neck to the ankle, but it's sheer. You can see everything. This other woman is only wearing a skirt, no top, with some bracelets, and her hair is out. She doesn't have a headband on, and she's not wearing the ankh as a necklace. They're both, everybody's barefoot. He too has on a bottom, no top, and his hair out. But the way her hand is positioned, you can't see her breast, but her left hand is touching his shoulder as if to cover her breast, and her right hand is reaching behind him, so you can't see what her right hand is doing. The other woman, her right hand is, her elbow is on the back of his shoulder, so you can see her hand, and you can see her other hand. It's like out to the side. So, but the arrow from the sky is shooting towards the woman who's wearing the skirt, who you can low key see her vagina, and but you don't see her breast. So, which one do you choose? You know, on one level, it feels like you would want the woman who's just out there and you can see everything, and she's like, please pick me. But the other one is kind of giving me the energy like, I'm more like you. I got to protect my heart. And even though I feel the need to be natural, what's going to happen between us should be natural as well. And I found it interesting that she's stepping on the green and the other woman stepping on the blue, because I feel like in this realm, blue would represent the sky and green represents the earth. And so, are you going to live in the fantasy, or are you going to get grounded and get into reality? And sometimes it's easier to go with what's being said versus how we feel. Because it almost kind of looks like she's grabbing his booty, like, let's keep it 100. And so it's almost kind of like, I know you hear her, but do you feel me? I know you hear her, but do you feel me? You feel me? you know, so, but again, he has free will. Even though the cosmics are trying to help him decide, or the queering decide, because that's really him being his, that's really the querent being connected to their higher self. So when you're connected to your higher self, you're able to make choices from your higher perspective versus choices that you would make out of fear, choices that you would make out of worry, choices that you would make out of lack of touch. Because sometimes it's not what you are being told, it's how you feel. That's the energy that you gotta go with. Sometimes you gotta shut everything out, dip into your heart, and figure out what she's trying to tell you. And when the message comes through loud and clear, then at that moment you'll know whether you're fighting your heart space or your mind. Is this a mental constructed experience, or is this a heart space reality? And which do I choose? Because I could choose to go ahead and have my mental reality all day long. But if I want to know what my heart wants to experience, I want to know what kind of world my heart wants to live in. How do I get to experience that if I always let my mind control everything that I do, say, experience? And where does intuition come in all of this? Because if your heart is telling you to do one thing, your mind is telling you to do another thing, there's obviously already a conflict. So at some point, your heart and your mind got to get together. And maybe it's time for your heart to be in charge and not your mind, because your mind can play tricks on you, but your heart will never lie. And on that note, my beautiful folks, I think that was a beautiful message for today. Trust yourself, trust your heart, trust your knowing, trust who you are, trust your being, and trust your flowers. You know what I'm saying? Get into this flower power. What kind of flower would you be? And really, I put in the description be, as in if you were a flower, what kind of flower would you be? So, also meaning if you were the bee, what kind of flower would you pollinate? So, meaning if you were a flower, what kind of flower would you want to experience through replication? My answer remains the same. Cannabis and orchid combined. All right, beautiful people. This has been a beautiful episode of Cosmic Connections. It is now 8:30 a.m. It is 7/15, 2022, July 15, 2022. I'm in Denver, Colorado, and we're going to play whatever track is here next on our way out. And just remember, you're beautiful, you're amazing, you're divine, you are loved, and I love you. Thank you for stopping in. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for sharing yourself with me. And thank you for allowing me to share some of me with you. And if you truly did enjoy this experience and you want to show some more love, you can send me a lovely donation. If you have Cash App, I'm $GG Azira. That is $GGAZ triple IRA. Okay. Coming soon, Cosmic Connections will have its own cash tag. But in the meantime, you can support the host. And what else? I also accept PayPal, Venmo, all of that stuff. So just find me and we'll get it popping. In the meantime, in between time, let's go ahead and play this track and we're going to roll up out of here. And we'll be back at 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time for another round of Flower Power, the Six of Spades. And if you were a flower, what kind of flower would you be? We're going to continue this discussion. We're going to continue this discussion later on this evening at 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So if you can, join us again. Come back for the replay. And we'll see you here Fridays at 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. here on Clubhouse. Cosmic Connections, spelled with the Q. Don't forget the Z. And I love you. So that's our show. What? Holy shenanigans. I literally just said last night that I was not going to upload my episodes to YouTube because I wanted to get more OGs on Clubhouse. And my mother just joined Clubhouse.